The rain was relentless as Emily Carter dragged her suitcase through the glistening streets of downtown Seattle. After a 10-hour flight from Manchester and a cab ride that nearly emptied her wallet, all she wanted was to collapse into bed. The online travel deal had promised a boutique-style experience on a budget. Emily, a British freelance travel writer, should have known better. The lobby was dimly lit, the front desk unmanned, a hand-written sign read, "Room key inside envelope, enjoy your stay." Emily, too tired to question it, found the envelope labeled E. Carter, snatched the key and stumbled up the stairs. Room 504. The door creaked open to a lavish sweet oak floors, velvet curtains, and a bed straight out of a 5-star catalog. Confused but exhausted, she barely managed to kick off her shoes before falling face first into the cloud, soft duvet. She didn't hear the door open 2 hours later, didn't stir when a tall man in a rain-drenched suit stepped into the room and froze. She also didn't know that she hadn't booked a boutique room after all. She'd just fallen asleep in Liam Ashford's bed, tech billionaire, Seattle's most private bachelor, and very much not expecting company. Emily woke slowly, her senses gradually tuning in. The softness beneath her felt too good, too cloud-like. She blinked at the intricate ceiling above, ornate crown molding, and a vintage chandelier that didn't belong in a budget motel. Her brow furrowed. Where was the peeling paint, the humming mini fridge? She sat up slowly, the silk sheets sliding down her arms. The room around her gleamed with quiet luxury, velvet chairs, a fireplace, and a full wall of windows showing the Seattle skyline at dawn. Her heart began to race. This wasn't her room, and she wasn't alone. Across the suite, standing by the floor-to-ceiling windows, was a tall man in a dark sweater and slacks, nursing a coffee cup and watching her calmly. His dark blonde hair was slightly tousled, and he looked like he belonged in a magazine ad for expensive watches. Emily gasped, clutching the covers to her chest. Who, where, what the hell is this? He raised an eyebrow, amused but cautious. I could ask you the same thing. I must be in the wrong room, she stammered. I booked the Rosebud Inn, room 504. The key was waiting. This is room 504, he said, setting his cup down, but this is the Rosemont Grand, not the Rosebud. Her face turned crimson. Oh my God. He nodded slowly, arms crossed. Yeah. Oh my God. Panic seized her chest. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to. I was so tired. The desk was empty, and the key. You found a key in the lobby? Yes, it said E. Carter. He looked amused now, walking over to the desk and picking up a second envelope. Because my executive assistant, Eleanor Carter, booked this suite for me, E. Carter, you picked up the wrong envelope, from the wrong building, I might add. Emily groaned and buried her face in her hands. The man chuckled softly. Don't worry, I've had worse surprises. She peeked through her fingers. You're really not going to call security, should I? I mean, most people would. Most people aren't me. Emily pulled the sheets tighter, still mortified. Look, I'll grab my things and get out of your hair. I am so sorry. This is horrific. You're in my shirt, by the way, he said lightly. She looked down and screamed inwardly. She'd apparently slipped into a white Oxford shirt during the night, likely folded at the end of the bed, mistaking it for a robe. He smirked, clearly enjoying her discomfort. You're welcome to finish your coffee first, or I can call down for another cup. Emily looked toward the table where a fresh pot and 2 mugs sat. Steam still rose from the spout. You made coffee for me. I wasn't sure if you were a sleepwalker or if this was an elaborate prank, he said. But when you started talking in your sleep about mushy peas and fish and chips, I figured you weren't from around here, and definitely not planning a robbery. She narrowed her eyes. You just let me sleep here. I slept in the guest room, he said. You seemed like you needed the bed more than I did. She blinked, utterly stunned. Why are you being so nice about this? He shrugged. Maybe I'm bored. Maybe I'm curious. Or maybe it's been a while since anyone walked into my life without knowing who I am. She froze. Wait, should I know you? The man smiled, holding out his hand. Liam Ashford, founder of Infinite Technologies. Emily's eyes widened. The cloud software empire. The very one. I literally wrote an article about your IPO 2 years ago. She whispered, shaking his hand reluctantly. You're that Liam Ashford, the one and only. She sank back against the pillows, overwhelmed. Great. I accidentally broke into a billionaire's suite and slept in his bed. This will look amazing on my resume. Liam chuckled. I've had worse house guests. Emily didn't know whether to laugh, cry, or run for her life. Instead, she did the only thing her British upbringing had trained her for. She accepted the coffee and sipped it awkwardly. He watched her for a moment. So, freelance travel writer, yes, she muttered, on assignment. I was covering the waterfront food scene in Seattle, not billionaire suites. Maybe you should. She snorted. Is that an offer? He tilted his head, possibly. They locked eyes for a moment longer than necessary. Emily cleared her throat and stood, trying to remain dignified while wrapped in stolen cotton and shame. I'll get out of your way, she said. Thank you for not having me arrested. My pleasure. As she moved toward the door, he called after her, Emily. She turned. There's a bakery across the street. Red awning. Best croissants in Seattle. Is that a peace offering? Call it a first impression redo, he said, or maybe breakfast. Her cheeks flushed. I'll think about it. And with that, she stepped out of the suite, into the hallway, into the wrong hotel, and into the most unexpected chapter of her life. The bell, above the door, chimed as Emily stepped into the bakery across from the Rosemont Grand. The warm scent of butter and cinnamon wrapped around her like a blanket, grounding her in something familiar after the morning's chaos. The shop was charming. Checkered tiles, chalkboard menus, and a pastry display that gleamed under the glass. Behind the counter stood a woman with salt and pepper curls tied in a red bandana. She smiled warmly as Emily approached. You look like someone who needs a strong coffee and something flaky. That obvious, huh? Emily muttered. The woman chuckled. Honey, I've seen jet lag, heartbreak, hangovers, and nervous breakdowns walk through that door. Yours is more. Public humiliation meets Rome. Calm disaster. Emily blinked. You're scarily good. Journalist or artist. Travel writer. Knew it. You've got the I slept in. An unfamiliar. Bed look. Not judging. Best stories start that way. The woman winked. I'm Marnie. Emily and I may or may not have accidentally spent the night in Liam Ashford's suite. Marnie paused mid. Poor Ashford, the guy who orders lemon, poppy scones and tips 300%. Emily winced. That's the one? Well, you're lucky. He's kind, handsome, and doesn't sue people for wandering into his space. That's rare billionaire behavior. Emily laughed nervously. You know him? Regular customer, quiet, polite, reads paperbacks, and drinks chamomile like someone's nonna. Why? Emily hesitated, then handed her card. I'll have whatever your strongest coffee is, and one of those almond croissants, please. You got it. Marnie worked with smooth efficiency, placing a golden croissant and steaming cup on the counter. On the house, call it emotional recovery food. Emily smiled. I'll pay double next time. She found a table by the window and pulled out her journal, needing to write, to sort, to breathe. She scribbled furiously, woke up in a billionaire's bed. Didn't die, didn't get sued, may have been flirted with, help. She didn't notice Liam until he slid into the seat across from her. You came, he said casually. You recommended it. I figured if you didn't show, I'd send a peace offering box to your real hotel, assuming you eventually find it. Emily gave him a narrow-eyed look, still not over the fact that I committed accidental trespassing. He grinned. I've had venture capitalists do worse trying to pitch me. You, at least, were honest. Marnie appeared with another cup. Chamomile and poppy scone. Thanks, Marnie. Emily looked between them. Okay, But is there anyone in Seattle who doesn't know you? He shrugged. I stay off the press radar, but I like small places. Ones where people know your name, but not your net worth. She sipped her coffee, observing him quietly. Why are you really here? I wanted to talk. To me? You're intriguing. Emily laughed, shaking her head. You're seriously pulling the billionaire falls for the nobody trope? He leaned in. Did you or did you not sleep in my bed last night? Her cheeks flamed, accidentally. Still counts. Emily groaned. You're impossible, but charming, debatable. Their smiles lingered. Liam's expression turned more thoughtful. You said you were writing about the food scene? Emily nodded. Supposed to cover the offbeat local favorites, places tourists don't find. Let me show you my Seattle, he said, surprising her. Real Seattle, not the curated tech bubble or influencer haunts. She blinked. You want to? What, be my guide? He shrugged. Why not? I know the hidden spots, and you know how to write about them. Emily raised an eyebrow. What's in it for you? Time away from boardrooms, and maybe I like the company. She hesitated, then shook her head slowly. This is insane. Maybe, but the best stories usually are. Emily stared at him. His eyes were clear, earnest. There was no pressure, no pretense, just curiosity. A man offering a second coffee and a chance to rewrite the awkward start of a very strange morning. What's first on your Seattle Secrets tour? Liam grinned like a schoolboy. By noon, Emily found herself in Liam's vintage Navy Defender, winding through hilly neighborhoods and waterfront roads. The Seattle skyline sparkled behind them. You drive yourself? She asked. He glanced at her. What, you expected a chauffeur and a limo? Kinda. Too stuffy. I like to be anonymous when I can. He pulled into a narrow alley behind a brick building. The sign read Vinnie's Vinyl and Waffles. You're joking, Emily said. Nope. Best waffles in the city, and every booth plays a different vinyl from the owner's collection. Inside, a man with an afro and thick glasses greeted Liam with a fist bump. Vinnie, this is Emily. She's writing about food. Vinnie grinned. Then you've come to the right church. Sit down, sister. They were soon served a plate of towering waffles with whipped cream and honey butter. The booth speakers hummed softly with Ella Fitzgerald. Emily moaned after the first bite. This is unreal, I know. Liam said proudly. Vinnie's been doing this since before the foodies found it. They ate in easy silence. Emily noticed how Liam relaxed here, how his shoulders lowered, how he spoke to Vinnie like an old friend. There was none of the stiffness she'd expected from a billionaire. What made you start your company? She asked suddenly. He paused. Necessity. I lost my mom when I was 16. Dad had no idea how to raise a teenager. Tech was my escape. I built things to distract myself. Eventually, one of them worked. Emily's expression softened. I'm sorry, he nodded. Thanks, I don't talk about her much. You don't talk much, period, she teased. Most billionaires are too busy launching yachts. I've only launched one yacht. She rolled her eyes. Liam leaned back. What about you? Why travel writing? Emily sighed. My dad was a military man. We moved every year. New country, new school, new language. Writing helped me find my place. So you never really had a home. Not until I made one myself. Their eyes met again. Something quiet passed between them, shared understanding. When they finished, Liam insisted on paying. You can pick the next stop, he said as they exited the shop. Emily tilted her head. All right, you said you liked being anonymous. Yep. I want to see how far that goes. She led him into a bustling weekend market near Pike Place. Crowds swirled, musicians played, food trucks steamed. Emily grinned wickedly. Buy me a $5 trinket. Blend in. Be normal. Liam blinked. A trinket. She nodded. If you can survive this without someone snapping a photo of Seattle's most eligible bachelor buying me a bead bracelet, I'll write about it. He chuckled. You're dangerous. Occupational hazard. He played along, buying a hideous knitted beanie with Seattle Loves You in bold pink font. She dared him to wear it. He did. They laughed their way through the stalls. Emily bought spice packets and a tiny ceramic goat. Liam sampled fried dough and took selfies in a photo booth with her. For 2 hours, they weren't tech mogul and freelancer. They were just people. By the time they returned to the Rosemont Grand, dusk was settling. Liam parked in the underground garage. "I should go," Emily said, unbuckling. "You don't want to see your face in that beanie on my private jet's safety video someday?" She smiled. Tempting. He walked her to the entrance, the air between them soft and tentative. "Emily," he said gently, "this was nice." It was, she agreed. "You free tomorrow?" She hesitated. "I might have interviews lined up." "But if you didn't," she looked up at him. "Then maybe I'd let you show me more of your city." He stepped closer, not touching, just present. "I'd like that. So would I." The moment held, and then she slipped away, into the hotel lobby, her heart pounding like it was day one of something that didn't have a name yet. Emily had just stepped out of the shower when her phone buzzed on the nightstand, and one new notification. Seattle Social spotted. Is Liam Ashford dating a British travel writer? Mystery woman seen sharing waffles and vinyl vibes at Vinny's Vinyl and Waffles. Emily's stomach flipped. She tapped the link. A low-resolution photo showed her and Liam laughing inside the cozy booth, her hand midair, his gaze soft. The picture wasn't even scandalous, but the headline was pure tabloid bait. The article speculated she was a potential love interest and labeled her unidentified brunette. Thankfully, her name wasn't mentioned yet. How did they even find us, she thought, wrapping the towel tighter around her. Then she remembered the beanie, the ridiculous beanie. Liam had worn it proudly in the middle of a public market, like a tourist on his first day out of quarantine. Another message buzzed in. Liam Ashford saw the article. "Sorry, guess I'm not as anonymous as I thought. You okay?" Emily stared at the text, conflicted. Part of her was flattered, another part panicked. This wasn't what she'd signed up for. She typed, "Emily, it's fine." Mildly horrifying, but fine. Guess the universe wanted to humble me before breakfast. Liam, want to escape again. Emily, tempting. But I promised my editor I'd check out the street food trucks today. Liam, what if I have a better offer? Emily, are you asking me to cancel work to hang out with a billionaire again? Liam, only if it involves pizza and rooftop views. Emily stared at the screen for a long moment. She should say no. She should focus on work, keep boundaries, but something about Liam made her feel more like herself. No masks, no forced charm, no carefully curated versions, just Emily, Emily, text me the address. I'll bring the camera and my appetite. The rooftop belonged to one of Liam's lesser-known buildings, a private, low-rise office structure near the marina. It wasn't flashy, but the view stunning. Mount Rainier loomed like a painted backdrop in the distance, and the waterfront glittered with late afternoon sun. String lights were strung across the space, and in the middle sat a picnic setup, pizza boxes, drinks, and a portable record player. Liam stood waiting, already in jeans and a dark Henley, casual and slightly windblown. "You're spoiling me," Emily said as she approached. "Not yet. Wait until you try Vinny's garlic crust." They sat cross-legged on the blankets, the scent of basil and melted cheese filling the air. Emily laughed when she opened the box. "You weren't kidding. This looks illegal in most states. Only the ones without a sense of joy." They ate with their hands, talking between bites. Emily relaxed quickly. The space, the sky, the simple meal, it all felt oddly sacred. "I got my first hate email today," she said with a smirk. Liam blinked. "What?" A reader sent a message that said, and I quote, "You're too pretty to be a real writer. Bet the billionaire's buying your byline." Liam winced. "People suck. Sometimes, but sometimes they send me cookie recipes and tell me I make them want to travel more. It balances out." "You really love it, don't you?" he asked, writing. He nodded. "It's more than love. It's the way I understand the world. If I don't write it down, it doesn't feel real. I get that," he said quietly. "For me, it was code. Lines and lines of language that made sense when nothing else did." They watched the clouds drift above the skyline in companionable silence. Then, without preamble, Liam said, "I want to invite you to something." Emily arched a brow. "Is this the part where you tell me your company's throwing a masquerade gala and you need a date?" He laughed. "No masks involved, but yes, there's a charity auction tomorrow night, very suit and sparkle crowd." Emily hesitated. "Liam, you don't have to, no pressure, but I want you there. Won't that just escalate the rumors?" "I don't care." She blinked. "Seriously?" He nodded. "Let them speculate. People always will. I'd rather be with someone real than polished." Emily looked away, unsure. "I'm not good at suit and sparkle. I own one pair of heels. I get hives from red carpets. I can send you a dress," he offered gently. "Not because you need it, but because you deserve to walk in and feel like you belong." She was quiet for a moment. "I've never belonged in rooms like that. You'll be the most grounded person there. I don't want to be the pity date." "You won't be," he said, eyes locked on hers. "You'll be the woman everyone wishes they had the courage to talk to." The words lodged somewhere deep in her chest. "All right," she whispered, "I'll come." Liam smiled. "Good. I already told the driver to pick you up at 6. "You were that confident, hopeful." He leaned in slightly. Not touching her, not rushing, just being close enough to feel real. Emily's pulse quickened. "I should get back," she said softly, "or I'll write about none of this and get fired." He nodded, eyes lingering on hers. As she stood to leave, Liam caught her hand for a moment. "Tomorrow," he said. She squeezed back. "Tomorrow?" Emily barely slept that night. Her mind ran loops around the rooftop, the pizza, the warmth in Liam's gaze. What was this? An escape, a spark, or something she didn't want to name yet? The next morning, a garment bag arrived at her hotel door with a note. A little sparkle, just in case, L. Inside was a simple but stunning navy evening gown, off-shoulder, floor-length elegant. Beneath it, in a velvet box, a pair of diamond drop earrings that shimmered like constellations. Emily sat down hard on the bed. This was absurd, unreal, dangerous, and yet she wanted to wear that dress. Not because of the price tag, but because of what it meant. Someone had seen her, noticed her, cared enough to make her feel worthy of that world. Just for tonight, she told herself, I can be someone who belongs. Emily stood in front of the full-length mirror, smoothing her hands over the midnight blue gown. It fit like it had been sewn onto her, hugging her curves and falling to the floor in soft waves. The diamond drop earrings glinted beneath her hair, which she'd curled into soft waves swept to one side. She hardly recognized herself. The makeup, the gown, the delicate heels, it all whispered of a woman who belonged at a charity gala, not the budget-obsessed noodle, slurping freelancer who had spent the last 5 years backpacking through hostels and eating street food out of plastic bowls. A knock sounded at the door. She opened it slowly, heart racing. Liam stood in the hallway, freshly shaven and devastating in a tailored charcoal suit with a crisp white shirt and no tie. His eyes met hers, and he stopped breathing for a moment. You look, he swallowed, incredible. Emily blushed, suddenly self-conscious. It's the dress. No, he said, it's you. He offered his arm, ready. Emily slipped her hand into the crook of his elbow and nodded. Let's go break the internet. The venue was a historic theater turned ballroom downtown, its vaulted ceilings twinkling with chandeliers, its marble floor gleaming like still water. Waiters in black vests floated with trays of champagne and amuse-bouches, while the air buzzed with money, perfume, and practiced laughter. Emily tried not to hyperventilate. Everyone looked expensive. Women in couture, men in suits that cost more than her car. She caught glimpses of familiar faces from the Seattle social pages, tech CEO, senators, influencers. As they entered, all eyes turned. Someone whispered, "That's Liam Ashford, and he's brought a date." Emily's throat went dry. Liam leaned in and murmured, "You okay? Just wondering if they can tell I'm wearing budget foundation under this $4.0 Eero Zero dress. He grinned. You're flawless. A tall man approached with a broad smile. Liam, you finally emerged from exile. Liam chuckled. Ben, this is Emily Carter. Ben extended a hand. Ah, the mystery woman. You've made quite the entrance. Emily shook his hand, trying not to sound like she was dying inside. Hi, thanks for having me. You're British, Ben said, eyebrows raised. Even better. Careful, Liam teased. She bites. Ben laughed and melted back into the crowd. Emily whispered, Please tell me this doesn't end with me tripping over the hem of this dress in front of a senator. No senators, Liam promised, just old money and new ambition. That's so comforting. As they made their way to the ballroom floor, Emily noticed subtle glances, curiosity, mild judgment, envy, intrigue. They saw a billionaire with a woman no one recognized, and they were drawing their own conclusions. I don't belong here, she said under her breath. Yes, you do. No, Liam, I don't. I'm not polished. I don't know what fork to use or how to fake laugh at crypto jokes. Liam turned her gently to face him. Emily, I didn't bring you here as decoration. Then why? Because I like being around you. Because you see through all this noise. And maybe because I wanted to remember what it feels like to bring someone real into a room full of masks. Emily exhaled slowly. You really are a menace, only slightly. They stood at a small cocktail table near the dance floor. Liam introduced her to a few colleagues. Most were polite, though a few raised their eyebrows when they learned she was a travel writer, not a CEO or heiress. Then she met her, tall, ice, blonde, dressed in couture and confidence. Emily, Liam said carefully, This is Madeline West. She's an old friend. Madeline interrupted, smiling like a cat. Her voice was smooth and practiced. We used to collaborate. Emily extended her hand. Nice to meet you. Madeline ignored the handshake. So you're the one from the market photo. I must say that Beanie was a bold choice. Emily's spine straightened. It was a gift. Oh, how charming. Liam always did love strays. Liam's expression darkened. Madeline, I'm teasing, darling. Madeline touched his lapel. It's just been so long since I saw you bring someone not from the scene. It's refreshing. I should get us more champagne. Emily said, turning quickly. Liam followed her. I'm sorry about that. She's your ex? Emily asked. She was a mistake. Emily sipped her drink. She seems territorial. She's irrelevant. But Emily wasn't so sure. The way Madeline had looked at her, a mix of pity and superiority, rattled her. Why me, Liam? She asked suddenly. Really? There are 100 Madelines here. He took a moment before answering. Because you didn't ask for anything. What? From the moment we met, you didn't care about what I had. You didn't pitch an idea, drop a business plan, or ask for funding. You just showed up, real, honest, a little awkward, a lot awkward. He smiled. It was the most refreshing thing I've experienced in years. She looked away, heart racing. This feels like too much. Then let's get out of here. What? Come on. He took her hand and led her through the side hallway, past the coat check, and out onto the balcony. The city buzzed below. She laughed. You just bailed on your own gala. I made the donation. That's enough. He pulled off his tux jacket and draped it over her shoulders. They stood there, side by side, wind in their hair. Do you ever feel trapped in all this? Emily asked softly. All the time? And now? Now? He turned to her. Now I feel free. She met his gaze. For the first time, she let herself wonder. What if this wasn't just a fluke? What if this could be something real? He stepped closer, brushing a strand of hair behind her ear. You look like you're about to run. I'm considering it. Want to be talked out of it? She hesitated, then whispered, yes. Liam leaned down and kissed her soft and slow. No pressure, no heat, just warmth. It was the kind of kiss that made the noise disappear. When they parted, Emily looked up at him, dazed. You know, this complicates everything, right? She murmured. I hope so. And for a moment, the night didn't feel intimidating or fake. It felt like magic, until someone opened the door behind them. Madeline? Well, she said, voice icy, this will make tomorrow's headline. Emily stiffened. You followed us. Madeline smirked. Just needed some air, but don't worry. I'll leave you two to your fairy tale. Just don't be shocked when it ends like they all do. Then she disappeared into the crowd. Emily turned away from the city lights, the warmth fading. Liam reached for her hand again, but she hesitated, because as much as she wanted this, she couldn't ignore the sinking feeling that reality was about to crash in. Emily woke the next morning with Liam's kiss still lingering in her memory, and Madeline's words echoing in her ears. Just don't be shocked when it ends like they all do. It had been a nearly perfect night, until that shadow, until the cold reminder that she didn't belong in that world. She tried to shake it off. She had real work to do today, her final scheduled interviews for the food feature she was writing. It would be the piece she pitched to the biggest magazine in her contact list. Maybe even something career-changing, and she wasn't going to let a drama-filled gala mess it up. Still, as she walked through Pike Place with her notepad and voice recorder in hand, she caught herself checking her phone too often. Liam hadn't texted since the gala. Maybe he was giving her space. Maybe he was second, guessing everything. Maybe Madeline was right. At the seafood truck, she chatted with Tomas, the Cuban-American chef who served citrus, glazed salmon tacos out of a retrofitted van. He laughed when she asked how he'd started. I burned a grilled cheese so bad when I was 8. The fire alarm sang for 10 minutes. That's how it all began. She laughed genuinely, grateful for the levity. The sun was out, the food was divine, and for a little while she lost herself in the story. Then her phone buzzed again. Notification. Google alert Emily Carter plus Liam Ashford. Her stomach dropped. She opened the link. Her heart froze. Who is Emily Carter? Inside, the mysterious woman seen kissing Liam Ashford at gala. Sources confirm that MS Carter is a freelance writer from the UK, currently residing in Seattle on assignment. But insiders hint she may be more than a writer. The article was full of invasive speculation. Her college background, old travel blog posts, even a photo from her sister's wedding 2 years ago. She sat on a nearby bench, pulse racing. How had they found so much so fast? Her inbox was filling with messages. A tabloid wants a statement. Her editor wants confirmation if the story is true. Someone on LinkedIn had messaged to ask if she was dating up for access. She wanted to vomit. A call came in from a blocked number. She answered automatically. Emily Carter. A deep voice asked, "This is Jonathan K. I'm the public relations advisor for Liam Ashford." She blinked. "Okay." "I just wanted to inform you that a number of media outlets are running with the story. Mr. Ashford prefers not to comment at this time, but we'd like to recommend you do the same." Emily frowned. "Wait, what does that mean?" "Just that things can escalate quickly. Silence helps. If you comment, it adds fuel." She hesitated. "Does Liam want me to stay quiet?" "Mr. Ashford believes in privacy, and so do we. He'll reach out when appropriate." The line went dead. She stared at the phone, stunned. No text, no call, no warning, just a handler telling her to disappear until further notice. She sat there for a long moment, crushed by something she hadn't wanted to admit. She'd let herself believe this was more than a spark, that it might actually become something, but now she was a headline, a problem to be managed. Just like Madeline said, her fingers hovered over the screen. She finally texted Liam. "Emily, saw the press. Just checking in. Should I be worried?" No reply. She waited an hour. Nothing. By evening, she was pacing in her hotel room, torn between anger and heartbreak. She'd never expected perfection, but she had expected honesty. Was that too much? Suddenly, her phone rang. Unknown number again. She picked up, cautious. "This is Emily." "Emily, it's Tyler Grant. I'm a producer at Good Morning Pacific. We'd love to invite you for a 5-minute guest segment tomorrow. Just a quick chat about your journey from travel writer to tabloid headline." Her stomach twisted. "I'm not interested," she said. "Think of it as setting the record straight. Your voice, your story. We're not interested in scandal. Just perspective." She hesitated. "I'll think about it," she said, hanging up. Then she did what she always did when the world became too much. She opened her laptop, pulled up a blank document, and wrote. She didn't write about Liam. She wrote about power, about invisibility, about being underestimated, about what it meant to accidentally walk into someone's story and find your own voice in the process. The piece wasn't polished, but it was raw and real and exactly what she needed to say. She hit save and closed the lid. Then she packed her bag. She was done waiting. It was nearly midnight when she reached the Rosemont Grand. The lobby was mostly empty. The front desk attendant recognized her immediately and offered a small nod. "Mr. Ashford is in the penthouse," he said. "He hasn't left all day." "Is he taking visitors?" The man smiled. "For you, I think so." She rode the elevator in silence, staring at her reflection in the mirror-lined walls. She looked tired, angry, and strong. The doors opened. Liam stood at the far end of the suite, barefoot, wearing the same Henley from the rooftop night. His hair was messy, his face drawn. He turned as she stepped in. "Emily, you sent your PR guy to tell me to be quiet." He winced. "I didn't know they'd contact you. I was going to." "You were going to what? Ghost me until it blew over?" "No." He stepped forward. I panicked. She folded her arms. "That's not the man I thought you were." "I'm still me," he said quietly, "but this is why I don't date, why I don't bring people into my world. It gets ugly." "It's already ugly," she said. "The difference is you had a choice. You could have stood beside me, but instead I got a phone call from a stranger and silence from you. I didn't mean to hurt you, but you did." They stood there 10 feet apart but separated by so much more. "I didn't know how to protect you," he said finally. "I thought backing away would keep you safe." "I didn't ask you to protect me," she said, voice trembling. "I just wanted you to be honest." Silence stretched. "I wrote something," she said, "an article about what happened, about being a woman who walked into the wrong room and found herself the wrong kind of famous overnight." He looked alarmed. "Are you going to publish it?" She hesitated. "I don't know, maybe. I want to read it," he said. "Before you decide." "You think you have that right?" He flinched. "Maybe not, but I want to understand." She took a breath, trying to steady herself. "Liam, I care about you, but I'm not a footnote in your story. If you want me to stay in your life, then you need to decide whether you can be in mine, all of it, not just the parts that are easy." He nodded slowly. "You're right." Tears prickled in her eyes. "I didn't fall for a brand, Liam. I fell for a man who made me laugh over pizza and who didn't care that I snored in his 5-star bed." His eyes softened. "And I fell for a woman who wore my shirt like it belonged to her." They were both quiet. Then he said, "Don't publish the piece." She blinked. "What?" "Not because I'm afraid, but because I want to tell this story together. You and me, our version, not theirs." She stared at him. "Come with me to the coast," he said. "Tomorrow, no PR teams, no press, just us, and we'll decide what happens next." It wasn't an apology, it wasn't a promise, but it was a beginning, and for the first time that day, Emily let herself exhale. The ocean was nothing like Emily had imagined. It wasn't blue and sparkling like a vacation ad. It was steel, gray, vast, and rolling with a quiet rhythm that calmed her the moment she stepped out of the car. The drive had taken nearly 3 hours, most of it in silence, not awkward, but thoughtful. Liam had let her set the tone, playing soft jazz and occasionally asking if she wanted to stop for coffee. She didn't. Her nerves were too frayed, too tightly wound for small talk. Now, as they stood at the edge of a remote beach house on the Pacific coast, wind whipping at their jackets, it felt like the world had hit pause. "This place is beautiful," Emily said finally, staring at the shore. "I come here when I need to breathe," Liam replied. She looked over her shoulder. The house behind them was modern but cozy. Glass walls, wooden beams, and a wraparound porch. The kind of place where writers retreated to finish novels or people came to remember how to be human again. "Do you bring all your scandals here?" she asked lightly. He smiled, but there was sadness in it. Just the ones that matter. She nodded slowly. Inside, the house smelled of cedarwood and sea air. A fire was already going in the hearth. Liam walked to the kitchen and pulled out 2 mugs, pouring hot chocolate from a thermos he'd picked up on the way. He handed her one. No coffee. This felt warmer. Emily sipped. Marshmallows, cinnamon, comfort. For a while they didn't speak. The fire crackled, and the storm outside gathered on the horizon. Then Liam said, "When I was 14, my mom brought me here after my first panic attack. School was hell. I was already coding by then, already weird. She said, 'Let the ocean take it. All the noise, let it pull it out of your chest.' I didn't understand until she died. Then I came back, and I did exactly what she told me to." Emily watched his face, so open, so bare. "This morning," he continued, "I almost let the noise win again. I was afraid of dragging you into it." "You already did," she said, but gently. "I know, and I handled it wrong, but I need you to understand. I'm not good at this." "At what?" "Letting someone in. Not since my mom, not really." Emily set down her mug. "You don't have to be good at it. You just have to try." "I want to," he said. "I do, but I don't know what this looks like." She walked closer to him, her voice low. "It looks like this. Being honest when it's messy. Choosing each other when it's inconvenient. Saying, 'Hey, I screwed up,' and trusting that the other person doesn't walk away." He met her eyes. "Do you trust me again?" "I'm working on it." He nodded. "That's fair." She reached into her bag and pulled out a printed copy of the article she'd written. "Here." He took it carefully, unfolding the pages like they were sacred. He didn't speak as he read, but she watched his throat tighten as he reached the final paragraph. "You wrote this in one night. I had a lot of feelings." He smiled softly. "It's brilliant. It's angry. It's true." She looked down. "I wasn't going to publish it, but now I think maybe I should." He folded the pages. "Do it. Just don't make me sound too handsome." She laughed. "No promises." He stepped forward, hesitant. "Can I kiss you again?" She nodded. This time it wasn't tentative. It was grounded, real. A kiss between 2 people who had seen each other's flaws and chose connection anyway. Her hands slid around his neck. His fingers laced through her hair. The storm howled outside, but inside there was only stillness and warmth. When they pulled apart, Liam pressed his forehead to hers. "You scare me," he whispered. "Why?" "Because I could lose you, and I'm not used to needing anyone." Emily smiled. "Welcome to the club." Later that evening, they sat wrapped in a blanket on the porch, sipping wine as the storm passed. "You really think you're ready for this?" Emily asked. Liam tilted his head. "You mean you and me, and the headlines, and the public opinions?" "Yeah." He took a breath. "No, but I want it anyway." She leaned her head on his shoulder. "That's good enough." His phone buzzed. He ignored it. "Was that important?" "Probably, but not more than this." She smiled. "You're changing. I'm trying. You're worth it." They sat in silence for a while, watching the stars break through the clouds. Then Emily asked, "What happens when the press moves on, and I'm just me again?" He looked at her. "Then I get to fall in love with you all over again. Without cameras, without rumors, just us." Her heart skipped. "You really think this could be love?" He nodded slowly. "I know it already is." Emily didn't respond right away. Instead, she pulled the blanket tighter and closed her eyes, breathing him in. And in that moment, she knew she hadn't just woken up in a billionaire's bed. She had woken up in the middle of something real, something that might just be worth everything. The article went live on a rainy Monday morning. Emily hit publish. From the porch of the beach house, her breath catching in her throat as the screen loaded. "The Room I Wasn't Supposed to Be In, What I Learned Waking Up in a Billionaire's Life," by Emily Carter. She expected backlash. Ridicule, trolling, she even braced for silence, but what came instead was a storm of something else. Support, curiosity, resonance. Thousands of women commented, "I felt invisible too." Others wrote, "This is what it's like to date powerful men and still try to be seen." Editors from online publications messaged her. A famous feminist columnist retweeted it with the words, "Finally, something real." By noon, the piece had over 3 100,000 views, and still Emily stayed quiet. She wasn't doing it for attention. She didn't even tag Liam. It wasn't about him, not fully. It was about what it felt like to walk into a life not built for you, and still claim space. Liam hadn't said much that morning. He read the article twice, then placed his hand on hers and said, "You said everything I couldn't." Now, back in Seattle, she found herself catching her breath as the world changed around her. Her editor at Wander Plus Whisk offered her a new column. Podcasters wanted interviews. An agent even reached out about turning her travel essays into a book. She was overwhelmed and thrilled and quietly, terrified, because this was the kind of success she'd dreamed of. And she was afraid of what it might cost. A week passed, the noise settled. Liam had gone back to the office, where meetings stacked up like dominoes. But every night he called her, even when he was exhausted, even if just to say, "Still breathing, still thinking about you." They didn't label anything. Emily didn't ask where it was going, but somehow it felt like the kind of in-between where something solid was being built. Then one evening, he called her with a quiet tension in his voice. "I need to tell you something," he said. Emily paused mid-sip of her tea. That's never a fun way to start. "I was offered a buyout." She blinked. "Wait, of your company?" He exhaled. "A tech conglomerate wants to acquire Ashford data. They've made the kind of offer you don't walk away from." "That's huge, I know." Emily sat up straighter. "Are you thinking about saying yes?" "I was," he admitted, "until last night." "What happened last night?" "I stayed up rereading your article, and it made me realize I don't want to be a name on another boardroom door. I want a life, a real one." Emily was silent. "I've been running this company since I was 21. It saved me, but now I think it's become my cage. So what do you want to do?" He hesitated. "Walk away." Her heart stuttered. "You'd give it up for something better," he said. "Maybe that's time, maybe it's love, maybe it's building something new on my own terms." Emily didn't speak for a moment. Then she said, "You know what scares me most about us?" "What?" "I didn't expect you, and now I can't imagine what my life looks like without you in it." Liam's voice softened. "Then let's make sure you don't have to." The next morning, Emily visited Marnie's bakery for the first time since everything. The place was packed, and as soon as Marnie saw her, she waved her over with flour, dusted hands. Well, look who survived the tabloid tornado." Emily grinned. "Barely." Marnie handed her a coffee without asking. "On the house. You earned it." "You read the article?" "Twice." Cried both times. "You've got guts, girl." Emily sat at the counter. "Is it weird to miss the part where nobody knew who I was?" "Yes," Marnie said. "But also no, because now you've got the mic, and you're saying something worth hearing. Still feels strange. I mean, this all started with a wrong keycard. Life's funny like that," Marnie said, turning toward the oven. "The best things usually don't come wrapped in a plan." As Emily sipped her coffee, a notification popped up. "Liam Ashford tagged you in a photo." She tapped it. It was a picture of the two of them, taken from behind, standing on the beach. Her hair blowing in the wind, his arm around her shoulders. The caption read, "Some rooms change your life, mine did." Her breath caught. No PR filter, no polished branding, just truth, and it was enough. That weekend, Liam invited her to the same rooftop where they'd eaten pizza weeks ago, but this time there was no picnic, no beanie, just candles, soft jazz playing from the record player, and a breeze heavy with salt air from the bay. "I sold the company," he said simply. Emily's heart thudded. "What? Yesterday? Signed the final documents this morning?" She blinked. "Liam, I'm not running from anything," he added quickly. "I'm running toward something that finally feels real." He stepped closer. "I want a life where I can write code for fun, maybe mentor kids, learn how to be a person outside of $1 billion empire." "And what about us?" she whispered. "That's the part I'm sure about." He reached into his coat pocket. and pulled out a small velvet box. "Emily's heart dropped. Before you panic," he said, grinning. "It's not that box." She exhaled hard. "You almost gave me a heart attack." He opened it. Inside was a key to the beach house. She blinked. "Liam, no strings, no conditions. It's not a proposal, just a way of saying, you have a place in my life if you want it." She looked down at the key. Her hands shook. "I don't know where this is going," she admitted. "But I want to find out. Together, together." He leaned in, brushing his lips against hers, slow and certain. When they pulled away, Emily smiled through the tears. "I'm still writing about this," she warned. He chuckled. "Just spell my name right." They sat together beneath the string lights, the key warm in her palm. She'd walked into the wrong room, but somehow it had led her exactly where she was meant to be. 2 weeks passed. Emily had never been so busy or so conflicted. Her article continued to go viral. She'd been featured in The Atlantic, invited onto a talk show in New York, and offered a book deal with an advance that made her choke on her toast. Her editor at Wander Plus Whisk was practically begging her to go on tour, and yet, all she wanted was to stay right here, in the quiet, with Liam, in their bubble. The problem was the bubble kept leaking. On a random Tuesday morning, while Emily was having coffee with Liam at a sidewalk cafe in Capitol Hill, a flashbulb popped from across the street. She flinched. Liam reached out instinctively to shield her face. 2 men with cameras hovered behind a parked SUV. "Seriously," she muttered. Liam sighed, calling over a nearby security officer. "Tell them to back off. They're on public property," the officer said. "We can't do much." Emily looked at Liam, her jaw tight. "This is never going to go away, is it?" He winced. "Not for a while." She forced a smile and waved at the photographers, then turned her attention back to the table. "They want a shot of me freaking out. Not today." Liam looked at her with a mix of pride and guilt. "You're handling this better than I ever did." "I'm not sure I'm handling it. I'm just trying to hold on to who I was before it all." He reached for her hand. "She's still there. She's the reason I'm still here." They didn't speak for a while. Then Liam asked, "Have you thought more about the book deal?" Emily nodded. "They want a memoir, but I'm only 31. That feels a bit narcissistic." "Not if you have something to say." She looked at him. "I do, but I want to do it on my own terms. No ghostwriters, no sensationalism." "Then tell them that." She hesitated. "What if they say no?" Liam leaned in, smiling. "Then you walk away, because now you can. You have the power." She exhaled slowly. It was true. For the first time in her life, she had leverage, not because of a man, not because of a scandal, but because she'd written something honest, and people had listened. Later that day, she walked into her publisher's meeting in downtown Seattle, shoulders back, spine straight. The editor sat behind a sleek desk, her red lipstick impeccable. "Emily, we are thrilled about your voice. The market is hot for female-driven memoirs, and this could be huge." "I'm excited," Emily said honestly. "But I have conditions." The editor blinked. "Such as?" "I want full editorial control, no ghostwriters, no rewrites that turn it into a romance novel. This is my story, and I want it to stay true." The editor hesitated. "We'd have to discuss that with the team." "Take your time," Emily said, "but I'd rather walk than be packaged." She left the building with her heart racing. Liam was waiting outside, leaning against his car. She grinned. "You were right." "About what?" "Saying no feels powerful." He pulled her into a kiss, not caring who saw. The next morning, Emily got an email from the publisher. Subject: "Deal terms updated. We accept all your conditions." "Let's publish the real story." She stared at the screen for a long minute before whispering, "Holy hell." Later that day, she went to Marnie's bakery to celebrate. They shared pancakes and champagne before noon. Marnie raised her glass to the girl who walked into the wrong hotel and came out with a book deal. Emily laughed. "I don't know whether to thank my exhaustion or my terrible sense of direction." "Both," Marnie said. "Some of the best stories start with mistakes." Emily sipped her champagne and thought about that. That weekend, she and Liam escaped again. this time to a cabin in the woods near Leavenworth. No cameras. No service, just pine trees, a fire pit, and enough silence to remember who they were without the noise. They made pancakes every morning, burned half of them, and danced barefoot on the deck under the stars. On the second night, while wrapped in a flannel blanket and sipping whiskey from enamel mugs, Liam looked at her and said, "I've never felt more like myself." Emily leaned against him. "You're not wearing a watch." He laughed. "First time in 20 years. They sat there for a while. Then Emily said softly, "I used to be afraid of success." He looked at her. "Why?" "Because I thought it would change me, make me less me. And now I realize. It just reveals who you already are." He kissed her temple. "In that case, success looks damn good on you." She smiled, because this time it did. The bookstore was smaller than she'd imagined. Nestled in a quiet corner of downtown Seattle, Harbor Reads was known more for its handwritten staff notes and worn armchairs than for bestseller glitz. And yet, when Emily walked in that rainy Thursday evening, the place was full, elbows brushing, strangers squeezing past each other to reach the author table, her table. The staff had strung twinkling lights above her name in metallic cursive. Emily Carter Book, signing today, wrong room, right story. She hadn't been able to sleep the night before, not from nerves, but from disbelief. She kept looking at her author copies, touching the raised letters on the hardcover spine, her words, her name, on shelves in hands. A small girl with curly hair approached with a dog-eared copy of the book clutched to her chest. "Are you the lady who wrote about the wrong hotel room?" she asked shyly. Emily knelt down. "I am." The girl beamed. "My mom said that was brave." Emily smiled. "Your mom sounds very smart. I want to write stories too, about being scared, but also being strong." Emily's throat tightened. "You should. Those are the best kind." She signed the girl's book with shaky hands. "To Elise, keep writing, even when your voice shakes. Love, Emily." More people came, young women, men in suits, couples. A pair of retired teachers, a woman who had emailed her from India, a flight attendant, a local artist. Some brought flowers, others just brought stories. Most said the same thing: "Thank you for saying it out loud." It wasn't until the very end, after the crowd had thinned and the staff began stacking chairs, that she felt a familiar warmth at her back. Liam, he stood in the entrance, hands in the pockets of his navy peacoat, hair wet from the drizzle. He hadn't warned her he was coming. She walked straight into his arms without hesitation. "You came?" she whispered. "Of course I came." He murmured into her hair, "I wouldn't miss this for anything." "I thought you had a mentorship meeting today." "I did. I moved it. This is more important." They stood in silence for a moment, wrapped in each other, the scent of old books and fresh rain around them. "You looked incredible behind that table," he said, "like you belonged there." "I think I did." He pulled back slightly. "You absolutely did." They sat down on one of the reading benches, watching the final guests file out. One of the staff offered Emily a leftover cupcake from the refreshment table. She took it with a grin and split it in half, handing the other piece to Liam. He held it like it was precious. "You've officially outshined me now, you know." Emily laughed. "You mean it took me this long? Your publicist emailed me," he added. She blinked. "Why?" "She's organizing your East Coast tour. Wanted to know if I'd speak at one of your stops." "What?" She said fans might want to hear from the man behind the mattress. Emily nearly choked. "Oh my God, she did not." He grinned. "She absolutely did." "Please tell me you said no." I said, "We'll see." She elbowed him. "Liam, you're the star now," he said, brushing a crumb from a cheek. "And I'm just the guy who got lucky when you booked the wrong room." She stared at him. "No," she said softly, "I'm the lucky one." He smiled. "Still think that after all this, every second," he took her hand, "then how about we write the next chapter together?" She hesitated, then nodded, and just like that, it was decided. Not because of the scandal, not because of the fame, but because of all the quiet, messy, real moments in between. Because somewhere between a budget room and a billionaire's bed, they'd found a story worth telling, together. Months later, Emily stood barefoot on the porch of the beach house, a mug of tea warming her fingers as the tide rolled in slowly, rhythmically, like breath. The air was cooler now, autumn creeping in, and the leaves along the path had turned gold. She watched as Liam stepped out beside her, freshly showered, towel slung over his shoulder, his hair still damp and wild. He looked less like the billionaire from glossy magazines, more like the man who made her pancakes badly and kissed her like it was a promise. "I submitted the manuscript," she said quietly. He blinked. "Wait. This morning." She nodded. "No rewrites." He asked with a grin, "Just one. I added a last page. Do I make it in?" She turned to him, teasing. "Barely." He laughed and kissed her temple. "I'll take it." They stood in silence, gazing out at the water. The book had gone from a quiet essay to a full memoir, not just about love or accident or the room that changed everything, but about the journey after, the fear, the learning, the choice to love someone who didn't come with a clean story or an easy ending. Her tour had ended last week. The headlines had faded. The cameras had found new people to chase. And she was grateful. Now it was just them, a small cabin, a wide sky, a future they were building one piece at a time. "Do you miss the city?" Liam asked suddenly. "Sometimes. The chaos, the buzz, the good coffee." He smiled. But I like this more." She stepped closer to him, her voice softer. "You ever think about how random it all was, all the time? I mean, one wrong envelope, one tired night, one room key." He turned to her, expression serious now. "It wasn't wrong." "What? The room, the night, you? None of it was wrong. It was messy, complicated, unexpected." He reached for her hand, "But it was exactly what I needed." She squeezed his fingers. "Me too." They stood there, watching seagulls dance above the waves. Then Liam said, "So what's next, writer girl?" She smiled. "A second book, maybe, something with more travel and less scandal." "You think people will read it without the billionaire hook?" She shrugged. "If they don't, that's fine. I'll still write it." He looked proud. "You know," she added, leaning into him, "we never did celebrate properly." He lifted a brow. "Celebrate what?" "That I stayed, that you stayed, that we made it through the storm." He pulled her into his arms, kissing her hair. "Then let's celebrate every day." They kissed under the rising sun, not with the urgency of two people caught in fate, but with the quiet peace of two people who had chosen each other again and again. And as the wind moved through the pines and the sea rolled on endlessly, Emily Carter smiled, because sometimes life doesn't give you the room you booked. Sometimes it gives you the one you never dared dream about.